Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. We're back to the next part of this tutorial series. Y'all could probably still hear my alarms going off. I gotta actually call these people out here to try and get these replaced because I don't know what I'm doing to get them replaced. They're these old models, but side point. Anyway, you can hear probably how sleepy I am. It's late at night and I wanted to get the tutorial series back up and going. Sorry for taking a little hiatus, but I had a passing in my family. My sister actually passed away, so I was dealing with that, and I just had to get back in the swing of doing things. So yeah, I'm back now though. And the next part of this tutorial series, we're actually gonna go ahead and work on ladders. And as you can see, I've already got this set up, working how I wanted it to work. The player walks around, all that set up, and then when he goes to the ladder, he rotates to the ladder. You can go up, down. When you get to the top, he goes on, rotates. Then when you go back down, he turns and rotates himself, and he goes all the way back down whenever you hold it down. So that's what we're going to do in this tutorial. I'm probably going to have to break this up into about 2, maybe 3 parts. It depends on how fast I get through this. Another thing that stopped me from just go ahead and just working on this and uploading it is I had to remind myself what I was doing. Because as you can see, I like to go ahead and have it already done, so I don't have to be trying to figure it out on the fly. So we're going to go ahead and set this all back up. And the first thing we're going to set up, which is the easiest thing to get it set up, is we're going to get our animation blueprint set up. And let me go ahead and move this off to the side and we'll recreate it for ourselves. Let me pull this up on our screen. Whoops. Boom. So our event graph, we've changed nothing in the event graph. If we did, I don't see the difference because I actually had to go back and remind myself with my old videos on what I changed and what I didn't change. But everything in the event graph, from what I remember, is exactly the same. And from what I saw is exactly the same. And as well as in our anim graph, all of this is the same. But we did add something in our no weapon locomotion. And we added this. We added our animations that allow us to climb and allow us to idle on the ladder itself. So let's go ahead and set that up. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add a state alias. And we're going to call this to climb ladder 2. We'll call it 2. Matter of fact, we're going to be even more cheeky. 2 climb ladder. So we need to create this because the same way as we call our states to go to our different sections, we need to make one that's specifically for the ladder. So when they're on the ladder, they can go between idling on the ladder and climbing. Because it's really just, with our character, we just have one animation. And that animation is sufficient to cover either or. So what we're going to do is, and I believe I actually created this. So yeah, I got to do that and show how that's done. So now we're going to go to drag this out, add a state, and it's going to be idle ladder. Everything's going to have a 2 on it. Idle ladder 2. And then we're going to add another state. Climb ladder 2. And delete this. We'll keep it for reference actually, so we can know everything that's going on. That's got to go back and forth. Boom, boom, boom. Now for here, what I actually ended up doing is that this character actually did not have one single animation to where they can just stay on the ladder and stay there. So I manually created, and I'll show how I do that. So let's open up our climb start. So let's drag this over to this screen. So what I ended up doing is, because I didn't have a climb loop, it's either climb start or it just goes straight into climbing up. So what we can do is go to climb start or climb up, whichever one you prefer. And what I did was I went all the way to the last frame like this. And then I just did right click and remove frame from 0 to 20. So that's just going to be the last one. And before I do that, and do something stupid, I'm going to duplicate. Oops, I just closed it out by mistake. Open it back up. So we're going to duplicate this. If I can get it to pause. Pause, right click. Then let's go to the asset browser in the content drawer, because I might can do it easier from there. Let's pull that up. Browse to, oh, I did not mean to do that. Browse to asset. Boom. So in browse to asset, we're going to actually duplicate this. Duplicate climb loop 2. Everything's got a 2 on it. So now when we open this, and now let's drag this back down. And what we can do is this. Close the content drawer. Get to that last frame, because that is what he should look like. Or let me see the climb up. No, we're going to use the climb up instead, because that one actually doesn't look nearly as good. We're going to delete that one. Browse to asset. We're going to open that back up. Delete climb loop 2. This is actually, I'm glad I actually saw that, because this one will look way better. So we're going to duplicate the climb up, and we're going to call this climb loop 2. And I'm going to most likely use this one instead. So now we're going to close the content drawer, and we're going to find a good frame to where it looks like he's just in between. Because the next frame will be him using the right hand. So yeah, we'll just go with the first frame. We'll go with the first frame. First frame, remove frame 1 to 41. So now we just have this. And this is going to suffice as our loop. Let's go back here. Remove frame 1 to 2, because we don't want it to look like he's jittering. We're going to move all the frames possible. And then it just should be this. Awesome. So now in our Aki Anim reference, or Anim blueprint, excuse me, we're going to use our climb loop 2 and put it right in there. Compile, save, go back. And then in our climb ladder, all we need is the climb up. Like you would think you might need a sequence to like go up and down, but when you're climbing, it you can't really tell the difference. You can't tell if it's going down or up. Either or, it works. So now, and if I had to, you could just reverse it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna copy what we did here, and we're gonna do that. That is actually something that's different in our character that is not, that I did not put in any other tutorial or part of the tutorial, is that we will have to create a boolean, and you know how to do that. Just plus, and then create that variable and call it climbing in our Aki or your character reference. And then we'll call it here. So let's copy this. Boom. Boom. Oops, went too far back. Into here. Oops, there we go. And if he's climbing, we want to go there. Boom, go back. And here, we need to copy this. And what we're checking here is obviously if it's climbing, but we're also checking if he's moving above a certain level of speed, whether it be up or down, because this is just going to check how fast it's moving. If it's moving up or down and its speed is higher than 30, then we need to transition to our animation that shows that it's climbing. And then right here, boom. Paste that in. And here we go. And of course, we got to do the opposite. So if he's climbing still and he's not moving above that threshold, we need to go back. So copy this. Keep doing the same thing, paste in here. Voila. Okay, guys, I had to check one thing, make sure I wasn't tripping. So now we got to change all our states, or we have to select what states can go to our state alias to climb ladder. So that should be idling, walking, and landing, and jump loop. I was debating whether or not we should even do land, but then I thought for a second, if we land or over here, excuse me, if we land anywhere near this ladder, we should still go to the ladder. And I was also looking at our other state aliases. None of the ladder animations in theory should go here. So I never selected that, and it did work correctly. And I was double checking to make sure I didn't have any unknown errors that I didn't spot before I started recording. So we do have our animations set up all through here. So the one other animation that is gonna have to get set up that we're not gonna do in here is the animation to where he climbs up and he climbs down. We don't want to do that here because if we did it here, we would have to create a state and it would go here. And then what we would do, we'd have to set up an automatic rule based. And typically that's going to be, or the way that should work, is that when the animation finishes, it'll just go to here, to one of the ladders. But the easier thing to do, and what I did, in my opinion, but there's always, like I said, multiple ways to skin a cat, is that I created these, excuse me, animation montages. And I'll open one up now. So basically, the animation montage is like, it plays an instance of an animation without actually having to switch through in your animation blueprint. If I'm explaining that in a way that can be understood. It's a way you would do attacking as well, because you wouldn't do an attack and call it in here and then try to transition to each attack animation. You would just go in your blueprint right here and then call like an anim montage right here. Anim montage. Play anim montage, then it would play whatever you select, and then it would go back to whatever you had it in the animation blueprint without having to go through all of that changing and conditions. So that's what I did. And we use this animation right here. And I have two versions of it. And you're probably wondering why I have two. That's because we need one to where it climbs up the ladder and one to where it climbs down the ladder. So what I did for that, because I didn't have no other animation than these, is I did this. I right clicked, and then we're gonna do, hold on, where is that? Right click. Oh, I got to do it in the content drawer, I guess. Close this back. Right click, browse to asset, then right click here, and then we're going to, where is it at? Create. Where is it at? Asset actions. Create, then anim montage right here. And then you can name it whatever. We'll do it from scratch. We'll do climb up ladder montage. Boom. So we'll open that up and you'll see, boom, we got our anim montage. Now what you probably saw that was different here is that I added a notify. And the reason I added this is because when you go up the ladder, the way that I did it, when you go up, it's going to get to about here. Once it gets to here, it's going to call off the notify in our blueprint, and it's going to trigger the movement from the character to go from the side, basically up and over, or whatever direction it is to get to the top of that ledge. So what point did we use? We're going to use the same exact point, because why not? It worked. So let's go to climb up ladder montage. Same exact point. I did 0.33. We're going to add a montage notify. And we're going to name that. Oh, where it is. Notify name right here. Climb. And that's all we got to do. Save. Awesome. Climb up ladder, climb. And now we're going to do the same thing again. But this time we're going to pause. And we're just going to duplicate this one. Of course, I got to browse to the asset. Content drawer. And right here, we're going to duplicate this. And we're going to call this Climb Down Ladder and a montage. And for this one, all we have to do is, first and foremost, I'm going to copy the same exact time because that worked the best last time. If it ain't broke, we're not going to fix it. 1.136. So let's go back here. Pause. 1.136. Let's go here. 1.136. And how we're going to get it to go backwards is we're going to go to the left in our rate scale right here. Simple enough. -1. So now it plays backwards.